Mafia 2 sucks. Definitive Edition. Mafia 2 Definitive Edition sucks massive gorilla dick. The game is bad. Where do I even start? A couple of months ago, I finished Mafia 1 Definitive Edition, and while it had some frustrating moments and some oddly paced chapters, I was pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed the game's storytelling. The character modeling and animation, the voice acting, the writing, even the small things like the ways characters would react to things other characters were saying were incredibly impressive to me. It reminded me of how immersed I felt playing through the story of Red Dead Redemption 2, at least until the actual mission started and it inevitably devolved into me killing 20 to 30 dudes in a cowboy shootout. To the men! To the 20 to 30 men! 1, 2! Mafia 1 tells a poignant story about how the nearly irresistible allure of immense power and wealth will almost inevitably lead to unsatisfying and premature ends for pretty much everyone involved. It's a classic tale of Mafia stories, but it's still very well done. In Mafia 1, there are no happy endings. There are just fleeting, happy moments overshadowed by the persistent, haunting truth that once you join the family, you never leave. At least, not in the way you want to. And Mafia 2 is like, what if everybody shit their pants? Mafia 2 is the game that comes after Mafia 1, but it would be really unclear if they didn't have the numbers because holy shit, it's so much worse. I understand that Mafia 1's Definitive Edition improved a lot of things over the original, namely, it's pretty much a remake, but I don't think that absolves Mafia 2 of being worse than it, because it's also a Definitive Edition and should have improved like anything. Let's take a look at the graphics. On the left here, you've got Mafia 2 Definitive Edition, and on the right, you've got Mafia 2 the original. And wait a minute. What exactly are we defining? Pretty much everything I've heard and read says that the Definitive Edition of Mafia 2 is just a worse version of the original game. And I haven't played the original, but that's not gonna stop me from shitting on this one. The gameplay of this video game could, at best, be described as mildly annoying.
That's not that bad.
And you might be thinking, that's not that bad. But it is, because it's mildly annoying all the time. One thing that really bothered me was after every chapter or mission, you have to drive home. And to be clear, it's not like it's a free play mode with side missions or other things you can do before you start the next chapter. The only thing between where you get dropped into the world after the mission is kind of over and your house, where the mission is really over, is like one shop to buy a suit or a garage to change your license plate, which I did use.
There we go.
After the first couple missions, it just feels like a ridiculous waste of time, and it completely obliterates any pace or tension or tone that they managed to scrape together in the mission you just played. So, funny thing, when I was going back to record some of the cutscenes from Mafia 1, I realized that that game actually has a setting to skip unnecessary drives, which is yet another dub for Mafia 1, but also, even if I knew that setting existed when I was playing the game for the first time, I don't think I would have used it, because Mafia 1 made me want to spend time in its world, whereas Mafia 2 made me want to drive my car off of a cliff. So I think that's actually a double dub for Mafia 1. Can I get confirmation on that?
Sir, double dub confirmed.
Great. Thanks, Jalbert. Love you.
Affirmative. Love you too, sir.
All right, back to the video. Most of the time, even if there's someone in your car, there's no dialogue to listen to. And since I'm a content creator, I couldn't listen to any of the music since every single song is copyrighted on YouTube. They aren't even like good songs. But that's just sort of speaking to the greater issue of pacing that this game has. There's too much of too many missions that's just sort of waiting for something to happen. You might be walking or driving or literally just standing still, but regardless of what you're doing, there is nothing interesting happening around it. I specifically remember one moment where you're going to meet up with some guys in a factory, and as you're walking towards it, there's literally 45 seconds of uninterrupted silence. And it's not the good kind of silence that makes you feel the weight of a character's grief or fear or the tingling of suspense. No, it's really just dead air.
Average Gen Z playing any video husma.
I get that. But if this happened in a movie and there wasn't some emotional or evocative reason for it, you'd think it's bad pacing. I don't understand why it's more justifiable just because it happens in a video game. What, I'm holding down forward on the controller so that makes it good? That makes it worse. I've always hated those award-winning AAA games where you just press a button and watch some slow-ass animation play out.
This shit is awesome.
And this is just the version of that got dropped on its head as a kid. One last note about the gameplay, there is way too much fist fighting in this game. It's not even a good system for doing the fist fighting. And there's so much of it. There's a weirdly high number of games that have some kind of fist fighting side quest, like Fable and Indiana Jones and The Witcher and Cyberpunk and Kingdom Come Deliverance, but this one is so much worse than all of those because it's not a side quest. There's actually a completely unnecessary story detour where you get sent to prison and all you do is fist fight.
This is gonna be easier than the time I shoved a potato up your mother's ass.
Sorry, what? I'm so tired of games purposefully derailing their plot to send the character off to some random location where the story has basically no relevance anymore and the gameplay completely changes and is usually irritating, and you could pretty much just delete the entire section and it would have little to no impact on the greater narrative. And yeah, I'm talking about Guarma from Red Dead 2. Guarma balls. Also, the drivers in this game suck.
Are you dumb?
But that's not new. That was in the first game.
Your car has a gas pedal so you can go forward, man. Use it. Your right foot get amputated in the fucking war?
Let's talk about the characters. More specifically, the main character. Your character's name is Vito Scaletta, which is kind of funny because he never vetoes anything in his entire life.
You suck.
Thank you. Vito is a non-character who exists solely as a vehicle for the player to advance the story and repeatedly press light attack during fistfights. To bring up Mafia 1 again, Tommy, the main character of that game, joins Don Celery's boys a little bit out of necessity, a little bit out of coincidence, but mostly because of his desire to get even with the guys that kicked the shit out of him and destroyed his cab for something that was definitely not his fault. This immediately gives some valuable insight into the unjust nature of this world and into Tommy's character. He's driven, he's ambitious, and he gives a shit about literally anything. Vito does not. Vito joins the mob because his friend Joe, we'll get to him, gets him out of the military with a forged doctor's note. Just to recap that, Joe makes the decision, and Vito, doing the thing that he will do every other time except once, just kind of goes along with it. I guess Vito was a little tired of fighting the Nazis, so he lets himself get signed up to commit crimes and kill other people. Really makes me respect him right off the bat. It's fucking based. Vito is a guy that doesn't really feel things or do things. Honestly, he probably wouldn't exist if not for the fact that he does still have 10 fingers and he can shoot a gun. There's a mission where Vito and Joe are meant to go kill some mob higher up, and this guy is your getaway driver. He's very annoying. Anyway, he gets shot in the head. Joe's pretty broken up about it actually, but Vito has this to say.
You took him along, he died.
Thanks, Vito. But later that night, you get a call from a bartender telling you that Joe is basically drinking himself to death and you need to come pick him up. Long story short, you go there, and while trying to calm Joe down and get him to leave, Joe accidentally shoots the bartender in the face. Now, that sucks, but what follows is, frankly, hilarious. Vito gets Joe in the car, and realizing he needs to dispose of the dead body, he puts it in the trunk. Not before I stole all the money out of the cash register, of course. After dropping Joe off at home, Vito heads over to a friend's place who has one of those car masher things, and he puts the car, with the body of the dead bartender still in the trunk, into the machine and fucking eviscerates him. A totally innocent man, a random casualty of careless violence, not even made in the pursuit of wealth or power, just pure drunken stupidity, gets laid to rest in one of the most brutal and inhumane ways I can think of. At face value, that sounds horrifying. Now, the reason it's hilarious is because afterwards, Vito has this to say.
Ah, shit, what a day. I should go home now.
He doesn't give a shit. His simple lizard brain doesn't even realize what's happening. He literally just threw a man into a trash compactor and acted like I do after I've mowed the lawn for 5 minutes. The funny thing to me is that it would be so easy and impactful for the story to show that these things do affect Vito, that these consequences of senseless violence aren't just empty moments, but are times where his character might change, develop, grow, literally feel anything at all. Allow me to set the scene. Vito is at the car gobbler. I'm not faulting anyone for the things that lead up to this scene. Theoretically, I think it's interesting and evocative, even if they do a horrible job of making it feel that way. Joe's drunk, he's careless, and he's unstable, and he shoots this guy. Cool, that's compelling. It forces Vito into a hard spot, and honestly, it fits Joe's character because he's a fucking moron. Vito's now responsible for getting rid of this body. He has to cover his tracks, even though he's not at fault, and he does this in the one way he can think of while he's kind of panicking. The car masher, which he's used before for cars. And here's what they could have done. The car goes into the car masher and the camera turns to Vito as he's staring back at the machine. We linger on him as the sound of metal twisting and groaning echoes in the background, a reminder of the brutality of this mechanism that is currently shredding an innocent human being's body. He doesn't need to say anything, he barely even needs to emote. Just the simple shot looking at his face and the horrifying sound of this machine connects the two pieces emotionally, and as we watch him, it's easy for the audience to wonder, what's he thinking about? He's not immediately leaving, he's not immediately quipping something or talking about how long his day was. There's a weight there. His conscience holds him there, and he's forced to confront what he's done. And it's not terribly important for the audience to understand exactly how he's feeling about all of it. The important thing is just that you know he's feeling something. And somehow, that is something they never do. Just watch this scene from Mafia 1. It's a very simple and effective filmmaking tool. It connects what you're hearing and what the character is seeing to the character that you're looking at. It asks you to think about the way that that character is taking all of that in. Except in Mafia 2, they can't do that because everybody shit their pants. There's a lot of examples in this game of Vito just kind of proving his head is filled with rocks, but one of my favorites is later on in the game, there's a mission where you're going union busting, which is fucking based. I love this guy. And in the middle of it, this guy tells you that this guy killed your dad. And he offers zero proof and even tells you that he didn't see it happen even if it did. And Vito just believes him. Okay, so quick note. I know that Derek is a giant weirdo creep who eats steak in like the grossest way possible. Don't do this to me. And probably, most likely, definitely killed Vito's dad. But what I'm trying to illustrate here is how Vito's decision-making process is almost entirely external. This dude says one sentence and I've got fucking whiplash from how fast Vito turns on the guy he's been working for like 5 years. And you might be thinking,
but that guy's a huge piece of shit that treats his workers like garbage. Whoa.
And you're right. You're so right. But Vito doesn't care. He never cared. The only reason he turns on Derek is because he thinks that Derek killed his dad. It has nothing to do with the exploitation of the workers.
I ain't gonna say no to that kind of money.
Vito has no moral compass. He has zero defining principles. He is entirely unlikable. And all of that gets paired with the beautifully agonizing fact that his dumbass lizard brain can only hold the last piece of information that has been spoken into it. He just sucks.
Hey, Vito, that guy killed your dad. No, Vito, I swear, that fella killed your pops. But also, I definitely did not see it if he did. Come on, Vito, you gotta trust me.
Hey, Vito, you look like you need to drink more water.
There is one mission where Vito decides to do something himself. A single, lone chapter where Vito demonstrates that he might possibly have some semblance of character, or willpower, or spine. But this is Mafia 2, so they do the funniest thing possible. It starts with you attempting to help this guy get into the mob that you're a part of. You did like one mission with this guy before. He's not really that important, but he's like an FBI informant now, so I don't know. He gets cut up with cleavers later. Also, after this guy gets cut up with cleavers, Vito and Joe go murder like 70 Chinese dudes before learning that, yeah, he was an FBI informant. So, whoops. But they don't really care. Nothing really happens. It doesn't matter. I'm getting off topic. He gets told that he needs to kill Leo, this guy. Leo's like Vito's mentor, whom he meets while he's in prison, doing all the fist fighting. Leo even gets Vito into the stupid people fist fight club. He also gets you back into the mob after you were abandoned in prison by the first family you were a part of, but he doesn't get you into the family he's a part of. He gets you into like a third family for some reason. I don't know. This is the one moment where Vito's like,
Sorry, Eddie, I can't do this. Leo was like a father to me back in the can.
holy shit, he's doing something. So he runs over to Leo's house to warn him, and after talking about it for a little bit, they get interrupted by the guy showing up to kill him. He's got the gun out and he's ready to do it, and Leo says,
Thanks for everything, but leave us now. I've had a long, good life, and it's not worth risking your neck to buy an old man a few more years.
No, Leo. There's gotta be a way.
Vito, go.
and okay, that's fine. Leo is showing his wise mentor moment, you know? He understands the game and he's trying to protect Vito. Vito tried to stop it, he tried to get him out, but he got there too late and he now realizes that this is bigger than him. Not everything every character does has to work out. It's about the fact that he's trying to do something. Right? Well, no, actually, because then Leo and the guy just like agree to not do it. Yeah, the guy just doesn't kill him. What? Okay, sorry. So to recap that, Vito goes over there to try to save him. Leo's like,
Oh, it's too late, Vito. I'm gonna fucking die.
so Vito leaves the room to avoid seeing him get his head blown off, but then barely 10 seconds later, Leo walks out of the room with his head not blown off. If you weren't going to kill him anyway, why not just let Vito save him? The one time that Vito chooses to do anything, the one time that they try to show that his character has any agency at all, is also the time where they make it abundantly clear that his involvement has no effect on anything. If he weren't there, nothing would have changed. That is fucking brilliant. As for the other characters, there's Joe, your best friend. Joe is a racist, misogynist piece of shit whose seemingly only redeeming quality is that he got you into the mob. So thanks, Joe. The rest of the characters in this game are pretty much all entirely forgettable or way too similar. They're just boring caricatures. Honestly, that might be kind of generous because a lot of them are just empty exposition boxes, and that's really it. The game also has this really bad penchant for introducing characters for a very short amount of time, sometimes even just mentioning their name, and then dropping them out of the story for about 6 hours and expecting you to remember who the hell they are when they show up and they're suddenly like an FBI informant getting cut up with cleavers or like the last boss. I'm not saying I'm the smartest guy in the room. I'm not even saying I'm in the room. But regardless of how intelligent you think I am, your story should probably, at the bare minimum, clearly inform me of who the antagonist is before I'm literally shooting him in the head to end the game. Did they mention Carlo Falcone in this game before I was shooting him in the head? Yes. Did I understand that he was the primary antagonist? Not at all. There are just so many random, uninteresting people that are kind of relevant to whatever mission you're on, but it's incredibly unclear who's important to the overall story because every mission is basically detached from the previous one. There's one mission where you and Joe go kill Tommy, the protagonist from the first game, and it's so out of nowhere that it perfectly encapsulates how these missions work. Tommy is not in this game. The mob from Lost Heaven is not in this game. It's just some dumbass brain rot fan service tie-in.
That's from the first game!
It is complete nonsense. And yet, I wouldn't expect anything else. Also, funny thing, when Vito kills Carlo at the end of the game, he has this great line.
I killed for my country. I killed for my family. But this one's for me. Fuck.
Which is simultaneously hilarious because I had no idea he was holding a grudge against this guy until that second. And also because Yeah, this is kind of the first time you're doing something for yourself. I'm gonna keep this next part as short as I can because the story of this game is not really worth talking about. There never felt like there was a real goal for Vito or an antagonist or a through line of any kind. It was just a mess of characters in a very complicated yet uninteresting web. It feels like it takes itself so seriously and then falls flat on its face. Mafia 2's world and story try to say so many things so loudly, and I feel like they end up saying nothing at all. It's not even that long of a game, but because they throw so much random stuff into the plot, it feels like they never substantially build up any of the individual pieces. I can't even really tell you what the point was or what things really mattered in the end, which is weird because there's plenty of events in Mafia 2, but they just don't feel like they contribute to anything. I remember when I finished the game, I was kind of baffled because it just sort of ends. No. But it doesn't feel like the story gets wrapped up because there wasn't really anything I was following to that point. And I don't think it's necessarily the explicit actions of the characters or what was happening that makes it feel so shallow. It's just the fact that none of it made me care. And trust me, I liked Mafia 1 and I wanted to like Mafia 2. But sometimes we don't get what we want. Because sometimes the things that we want, they shit their pants. Anyway, like any good game that sucks ass, Mafia 2 Definitive Edition has a lot of bugs. Now, to be fair, most of them were pretty minor, and honestly some of them were kind of funny, but it's still worth pointing out because what the hell am I doing here other than shitting on it? I'll just give you my favorites. The first one is a bug where in certain cutscenes, Vito's head would sort of implode and make him look like a scoop of ice cream. Now, personally, I think this owns. I think we need ice cream head mode in more games. The second one that I really enjoyed, and I'm not sure this technically counts as a bug, is that the game seems to track every shell casing from every gun for way too long. So the most egregious example of this is there's a mission where the beginning of it is you and some dudes just lighting up a diner outside of town. There's like 7 people that are shooting Tommy guns for about a minute straight, and I know it doesn't look that bad, but I was getting like 500 frames per second before this, so this is kind of insane. There was one cutscene where Leo just couldn't seem to make eye contact with Vito, so he just stares at the door handle of the car while speaking really aggressively. And this was like a pretty important cutscene, so I don't think that was how it was meant to play out. I don't know. There was also a bug where sometimes the dialogue would double, so you'd end up with 2 people speaking like this.
Coming after me,
right? Just
and
like
almost
always.
getting yourself killed.
Now just
Listen,
take
Vito.
the fuck back before you get blood all over my pants and I really do
Thanks.
stab you in the chest.
Coming.
Hey, we're in this together, right? Just like always.
The hell of a time.
To be clear, I'm not a person who thinks that bugs like these are necessarily a reason to write off a game. I think bugs can be funny, and with the scope of games these days, it's inevitable that some are gonna show up. But when a bug prevents you from progressing, it's a little annoying. Like here, where I'm supposed to go through this door that I'm up against, but I can't, because this guy is stuck on about a 2-inch rise of flooring. What are you doing? This happened roughly 2 minutes into my playthrough, so I had no idea what was going on. I didn't know he needed to open this door. I just thought I was doing something wrong. But after 10 minutes, I realized I could just push him up myself. So good thing I figured that out, otherwise I wouldn't have had to play this game. I liked Mafia 1 a lot, but the last chapter of Mafia 1 is titled The Death of Art, because after that you have to play Mafia 2. And in case I haven't made myself clear, I did not care for it much. It's oddly a memorable game because it constantly had me questioning what the hell they were thinking when they made this.
This is close. This is good. Just feel like we need a little something extra. Anybody have any ideas? Yeah, Mark?
What if we had everyone shit their pants?
Holy shit. Holy shit, Mark. Get this trash out of here.
I should have thought of that.
Way to go, Mark. I always knew you had it in you. Good job.
Of course, they shit their pants. That's brilliant.
Mark, this is my credit card, and this is my debit card, and would you please fuck my wife?
Shit their pants! How the hell did we not think of this before?
It's almost impressive how bizarre every turn in the story feels. The plot just moves along, totally oblivious to how disconnected it is from itself and its characters. But it kept me playing because for some reason I really wanted to see how they'd wrap everything up, how they would tie all these seemingly random story beats into something satisfying and meaningful, and in a manner almost exactly as I expected. They did not. But, you know, it's hard to make games. The original game didn't have something like Grand Theft Auto 4 to take inspiration from, and it probably got compared to GTA 4 when that game came out like 3 or 4 years later. Oh. GTA 4 came out 2 years before Mafia 2? This game really does suck ass.
The only way it could get worse now is if he craps himself.